If you have been with us for however month and a half,
3 or 4 weeks, four or
whatever,
5 weeks.
we have done the Stop the Insanity series, focusing on how to take a pattern or a sloper that you have already made changes to fit your body and then make changes further to
Style.
change the style of it. Long sleeve to short sleeve, a different hem, the pocket placement, size, design, all that sort of stuff. Janet has shown you a lot of different ways to make easy changes, changes that you might not know are easy, but actually are, and how to do them, so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to buy another pattern and then have to get that all to fit just so that you can have a short sleeve instead of a long sleeve.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
We love new patterns, of course we do. But the truth is, they're just start over. I was telling somebody who was having trouble fitting a pattern online the other day, one of the sewing Facebook groups, and a pattern is a stepping off point. It is not ever going to be the absolute, just sew it up and put it on. That's just not going to happen because we have too many different shaped bodies, and different age creates different shapes, and different lifestyles create different shapes to bodies. So there's no such thing as a pattern that you can pull out of the envelope unless it's a caftan,
Yeah.
which is no shape at all and it just needs to be the right length. Other than that, it's best to make those changes so that it is something that you will wear, that you are comfortable wearing and you're proud of and you enjoy. So make the changes to the one pattern and then do like we have. And we've made how many different, 5 different looks out of the same pattern. And the pattern wasn't even these looks, it was a long sleeved
Yeah.
shirt. So yeah, I think we've demonstrated that pretty
Yeah.
pretty fully. Yeah.
So Janet used one of our long sleeve blouse patterns and have come up with a variety of the camp shirts, including the one she is wearing. So if you had not have not been following us this whole series, say like you were on a long European vacation or such, you can find them here on the Facebook page or on our YouTube channel, which is Islander Sewing System. And Brenda has created a playlist just for this Stop the Insanity Camp Shirt series.
Mm-hmm.
So you can go back and take a look at what we have done in the last few weeks. Um, and we will move forward with showing what your end result was and recapping everything. And if you have any questions, please put them in the comments if you have started doing this and have any questions or it's not working out for you, let us know. We'll see if we can help you.
Okay, so the last couple weeks I showed you a little bit of the pattern development. So the simple pattern changes to end up with the shirt that I'm wearing. So I'm going to show you that. And I used from the Pattern Making Made Easy the directions to do, should I say in the back? The kimono sleeve. So there isn't a set-in sleeve. We've just extended the shoulder, but be sure to look at the directions for doing that because you don't just draw it out. You've got to lift it up a little bit and then draw it out. But in this one, I made out of our new Cupro, uh, Bemberg Cupro, and that it feels just like Bemberg rayon, but it's got a wonderful crosshatch weave that is visible up close, so it gives it a little more interest, but it just drapes and feels so nice. So it's cool, it's comfortable, nothing to bind you because there's no set in sleeves or anything. So real relaxed shirt and fast to make. So anyway, I just wanted to go quick review. So I started with the muslin, like all of you should. Can we see that one? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I started out with the muslin, so I got the right shoulder shape, the right bust dart, everything hanging straight. And then we moved down. I think this was the first one I made. This one's a very loose fit with no darts in none of the vertical darts. This one I made it a little more shapely, and I did the vertical darts, I brought it in a little bit. And I love this. This one's got our hand-dyed coconut buttons on it, flower shape. So those two are pretty traditional. And then I went to the sleeveless one here on the end, Jess. And this one, I cut the collar stand down and I cut the collar down. I am very short in the neck. And so I don't need that high collar stand at all. I felt like it was a little high on the other two. So I cut it down and I gave you some tips on that. So that's also in that series on YouTube. We talked about on this one how we had to raise the arm side. Remember that if it's a sleeve, if it's a pattern that takes a sleeve and you want to make it sleeveless, you need to raise the arm side. And we talked about that by 1/2 to 1 inch. I raised mine 1/2, and I really could have raised it 1 inch. I still had a little bare skin there. We also went over how to finish the arm side with a bias, and it gives it a nice structure and finishes it off really nice as the facing. Okay.
And this one has the hand-dyed buttons as well.
Yep. Oh, and then we did this one by, again, the lower collar stand. So I did shorten this collar stand, but I didn't put the collar on. And that's all I did different with this one, other than this one has a straight hem and it's a little bit fuller, and then just the little short collar stand as opposed to the collar and collar stand. Oh, and I added a pocket to this one. So that was kind of fun.
All right, I want to get these two again now that I'm a little bit closer and show them the difference between the
fit.
no darts.
This one's a lot looser, real relaxed. And I actually am more comfortable in this one because I don't divot in that much here under the breast. I have a little extra fluff here, so it's not as comfortable to have that dart in there. So this one is a little more relaxed.
Do you want to stand there and I can show them your shirt a little bit closer? And I think especially the yoke in the back will tell the. Now put your arms out. Come on, model. Just so you could see that yoke of the kimono sleeve, because that was a big change that Janet showed you how to do. Okay.
And so for this one, I did the hem is faced. So this is a curved, a little bit different shaped hem. So I faced the hem as opposed to turning it up. And I also interfaced it to give it a little extra body. And then I faced the little slit on the side too to match the hem. And all those pieces are made just by using your original pattern. So I'm going to give you a quick primer on how to create those pieces.
And can you remind Connie what pattern you started with? Or remind everybody, but Connie is asking.
Okay. I started with the Everybody's shirt. And what we have suggested is that you either start with the Everybody's or... No, I did not start with the Everybody's. Sorry. I started with the Shirt Makers. Women's Shirt Makers Express. So we recommend either one of those two to start with. Whichever one is more your thing. Looks more like something that you would want to use, because once you get it adjusted to fit you, again, we're showing you can go all kinds of places, and you can go beyond what we've done here. There's lots of things you could take this, we talked about it. You could take it into a dress, you could take it into a tunic. There's just so much you can do with it. And as you are making those changes and making a couple, same thing's going to happen to you that happens to me. Is all of a sudden I'm on the internet or I'm flipping through a magazine and I'm going, oh, all I have to do is make this tiny little change and I could have that look too. And I'm off to the races. Okay, see if there's any questions and I'll go over to my pattern pieces.
Okay. I do not have any at the time, but feel free to put them in the comments, and if you wanted to see anything closer, we can always do that too. All right, Janet is going to show you something.
Well, we've gone over this pattern a couple of times, so I don't want to go, over the same things, but making sure before once you've made all your adjustments, just make sure all the pieces fit together. For instance, this piece, the side seams, they should be identical. And everything should stay on straight grain. So we talked about that last week, but I can't say it enough because even myself, actually, I got this a little crooked. And when I went to line it up, it wasn't straight. So I had to make that minor correction. So be sure that you are careful and watch for that. So then I wanted to face the hem. So I wanted a 1 inch facing. So I drew the line 1.5 inches from the bottom of the shirt. And then I traced this out for my facing. I got a 1/4 inch seam allowance here and a 1/4 inch seam allowance here. Now I have a 1 inch facing. So I did that front and back. And of course the back's on the fold. And again, I interfaced mine, and that would have to do with the type of fabric you're using. But I am very likely to put interfacing in the hem of almost anything. And I know there are no patterns out there that ask for it. But I can tell you, especially if it's a nice wide hem, it just gives it more body. It just looks so much nicer, and it'll last longer, and it'll stay looking good longer. Okay, so we had to make the hem facings, and then I had to make my slit facings. Now I wanted my slit finished to be 4 inches long. So I cut my facing 4 1/4 plus an extra inch for up at the top to turn over. However, what I forgot to do, and what you don't want to forget to do, is to make it the same shape as the hem at the edge here. So mine's a little not covering that edge on the inside. No one will ever see it but me. But for the next one, I am going to change the shape of that. So make sure you do that. And of course, mark everything. These are my 2 hem facings that I just told you about. And then I created a very non-scientific cuff. So I knew approximately the width I needed my cuff here. So I cut it longer than I thought I needed. Twice the width that I want my finished cuff, plus a 1/2 inch, because we need a 1/4 inch seam allowance. But you've got 2 raw edges, so that's a 1/4 and a 1/4, so that's a 1/2. So you want it to be a 1/2 inch wider than you need once it's folded, so that you can stitch it on. Now, here's the trick about this, and I got this from a ready-to-wear garment that I own. We serged it to the wrong side, and all of this is concealed when the cuff gets folded up. You want me to show you that again?
Yeah, I'll get closer.
So it's just serged on there at a 1/4 inch and then folded up, and now you don't see the sergings concealed in there. And this can be tacked in a couple of places if you like. I've done a 1/2 inch top stitching from the folded edge. The one thing, again, when you're making that piece, you've got to remember that when it comes down to the underarm, again, the shape has to change slightly. Sometimes I just retrofit it, like cutting it bigger than I need and then cutting it off. Now, a couple of weeks ago, somebody asked me, are you going to put this in on the flat or the round? And I said the flat, and I changed my mind. So it went in on the round. So the underarm seam was sewn first, and then this was put on so that I could have a seam down here that was concealed. And that's pretty much it.
All right, I have a couple questions for you. Well, first of all, Teresa said she loves the solid blue that you're wearing with the kimono sleeve. It looks really comfy. And it is.
It's not just the design, because the design is comfy, but I own this design in like a regular woven cotton, and it's nowhere near as comfortable as this because of the drape of this fabric.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks. It. I mean, she's saying it looks so comfy there, but like in person, it looks so nice and comfortable. It hangs great. Um, Chantel said she came in late. Did you use cotton lawn for this blouse?
No. So all the other ones you saw were cotton lawn, and they're all in our
Yes.
collection. Well, what some couple of them are sold out now, but this is Bemberg Cupro. We have it in three colors, and it's a limited supply because we got it from a overrun from a designer. So we have it in white, black, and this sky blue.
But the other ones were made in the
Those
cotton.
are all lawn, cotton, 100% cotton lawn. The Cupro is not any specific fiber. It's kind of like a combo, whatever they pulled together. So it could have some cotton in it. It's likely to have polyester and other synthetic fabrics in it or fibers. And then they do a chemical process, just like they do with other rayons, that gives it that soft hand and that wonderful drape as well.
And Marlene wants to know what type of interfacing you recommend for hem facings.
Oh, light and stable, absolutely. Because you don't want a lot. You just want enough to make it keep its shape. Yeah, so just a lightweight. So whatever your favorite lightweight is, but we carry the light and stable, which goes on in like 10 or 12 seconds. And it always gives you just a little bit of body. I put it in the cuffs here. It's in the collar stand, and the hem facings. Oh, in the pocket, top of the pocket here, a little bit.
Okay, so Sherry says you may have mentioned this in an earlier class, but could you explain the differences between the patterns that everybody's in the shirt makers?
Okay, there. Well, um, the everybody's is a long sleeved button up shirt. However, it has a two-piece sleeve, and it has a demi princess shape in the back. So the back is four pieces, the yoke, and then three lower pieces. It also has the front darts, but so does the shirt makers. But the shirt makers has a one-piece sleeve and no extra pieces in the back. So that's really just about the only difference. And I chose to use the shirt makers because it had less pieces, and I didn't it wasn't my end result didn't need a lot of pieces. But you should start with the one that number one pleases you, or number two that you've already fitted. So a lot of us, we did some fitting when we did the everybody's shirt last fall. And so when we did that, we did all that fitting. So that's where we kind of springboarded off of that, saying, well, let's do this stop the insanity concept using that, because we know a lot of you already have it fitted, and then we can show you how to make the changes. If you haven't got one fitted yet, then this is a good time to do it, and then you can pick which one.
Pam is asking, she says, I am so concerned that you might see my bra flab under my armpits. What can you say that will help with the fit here?
Are you talking about sleeveless? She's talking about the little extra we get right here in the sleeveless. If it's in the sleeveless, then make sure that you do a muslin and raise that arm side to the point where that's comfortable for you. And what you don't want to show isn't showing.
Yeah, that's not what you're talking about. Just clarify in the comments.
Yeah.
And we'll circle back. A different Pam wants to know, do you have a video demonstration where you show your process for measuring, marking, and drawing in the horizontal lines on slopers?
What? Okay. Horizontal lines. Oh, I know what she's asking. No, but here's the thing. If you want to follow that procedure with those horizontal lines, if it's on a bodice and on that pattern, the bust line is marked and the waistline is marked and possibly the hip line, that's where you want to put your horizontal lines and do them in a black like a Sharpie. So they are so obvious you cannot miss the fact that they're going a little crooked or sagging someplace, because that's the whole point of those horizontal lines. If those things are not marked on your pattern, it doesn't matter. Just find 3 arbitrary points to do horizontal lines on. It really doesn't matter, because wherever the pattern said the bust point is supposed to be, it might not be where your bust point is anyway. Same with the waist. And by the fact that we're going to pin fit those side seams, we're going to change, if necessary, the shape of the side seams, which will change the place where the bust and the waist and the hip might be. And then you can go back and mark exactly the bust, the waist, and the hip if you'd like to. Mostly they're marked on the pattern so you know what the original pattern, because again, this is a stepping off point. So if you look at that pattern and you say, okay, the back waist length on this pattern, according to where they've marked the waist, is 17 3/4. And I have a 16-inch back waist length. Now I know that's where I have to shorten it a little bit. So that's why they put those marks in there, so you could get the right proportions. But most people don't even appreciate that concept. They have not been taught to appreciate that concept.
Teresa wants to know how much yardage did you use for the sky blue shirt you're wearing?
Well, 2.5. And you might have some left and you might not. I had a little bit left, but then I had to recut something. So I would say 2.5 and you'll be safe. I did 2.5 with all the camp shirts. The sleeveless one, obviously, 2 would do it because you don't have the sleeve.
Okay, so Pam is coming back for clarification on her, and I'm using her word, flab issue.
Yeah.
She says not sleeveless. I'm speaking of the shirt you're wearing.
Okay.
Sometimes when you lift your arm, you see that bra band, and then she's worried about her flab. But I don't see yours.
Well, you want to make sure, Pam, that this sleeve isn't so big that that happens. And what they do with ready to wear is they make it a general size so that anybody who puts it on can take it home with them. But then we don't realize till we're out someplace or we happen to look in the mirror and we say, oh my gosh, you can see straight down my shirt. So make sure. Now, let me tell you, I'll measure mine. I think it was right. Well, I'm not going to guess. I'm going to measure. So, cut, not finished, cut. Mine is upside down. Okay. Mine is on the front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 8 3/8. And then, see if I can figure out the back. So 3/8 there. So, and this was going to be approximate. You're going to make a muslin and then you'll check it for your own self. And then the front is about 9 inches long.
That's the back.
I mean the back. Sorry. The back's about 9. So, again, there's seam allowances in here. The shoulder seam and the underarm seam. So you got to subtract those to figure it out. But if you do a muslin, and what I always do with the muslin is I kind of estimate a little bit high so I can adjust it and take it in and get just the right fit, which I did do. And then you're good to go. So yeah, I understand that. I don't like that either. Where, you know, if it's a nightgown, it's one thing, but if it's something you're wearing in public, you wanna, be modest.
Yes, Brenda, Janet's shirt is is the Cupro, and so far she is loving it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I do. I love it. I've had it on for an hour, but I'm not taking it off today.
Well, maybe when you eat.
Yeah.
Maybe for dinner.
Maybe.
So you can wear it again tomorrow.
Of all the ones I've made here in this series, this is my favorite. And I think I shared with you that I had two of these shirts, and they're inexpensive ones at just a local, I think it was Penny's.
You mean
Penny's.
the kimono sleeve store?
Yeah, uh-huh. But there was problems with those. I made them do because they were inexpensive just to wear around work or something, but they're too tight in the arm. They made the one that I bought like tight here, so it's a little snug and it's uncomfortable. So that's another reason I was real careful to make this a little bit deeper so that it was comfortable, but not so deep that you're giving a show or showing your flap. I don't know.
Everybody really likes the color on you.
Oh,
Yeah, it does look good.
good, good. It feels good. It feels really good.
That's what I have for questions.
Okay.
As of thus far, people can still.
Well, what we would like to encourage you all to do, like we do with most of our series, is if you've done a camp shirt or any other type of shirt conversion using what we are learning here or practicing in this series, we'd like you to post it on the Facebook page under community and give a little comment, if you will, about what you learned, what you liked, what you will or will not do again, that kind of stuff. We'd love to hear about it. And we will be doing a drawing in 2 weeks to give away some gifts for those who have posted. So please do that. And again, you are not only making us happy because we get to see that you actually made these things, but you are inspiring others. And you will see the comments on there. When people see what someone else has done, they will say, "Oh, I like what you did. Where did you get that fabric? Or what needle did you use? Or how did you know to do XYZ?" And so it allows us to share with each other. So I like that about it. So please post any pictures. And if you haven't made one, do it now. It is so empowering to realize that you can take a pattern that is comfortable and already fits and make minor changes and have a whole new look. And it's so much more fun because you know it's going to fit. You already own one with a different sleeve or a different collar, but you know the body's great, so all it just makes it more relaxing. More relaxing. And then we wanted to talk about our next concept in Stop the Insanity series. So, in 2 weeks, we will start the Stop the Insanity series on knit tees and more. So, we'll be dealing with if you fit a knit tee, you could have either used the 1207, which is our sloper pattern for t shirts, or you could have used our 5 Easy Tees. So, if you've got that fitted, then we're going to show you a bunch of changes that you can do to that. But that'll be in 2 weeks because next week, what I want to do is just do a review on the knit fit. I'm working to help some people that are sending in their photos and want to know, like, they can't quite figure out how to get rid of a certain drag line or a fitting issue, and I can help them. But there's a couple of concepts that just aren't getting across. So next week, that's what I want to do. I want to make it very, very clear how to move the seam line. And the seam line gets moved in the fitting process and in the pinning process. So I think I have a great way or a better way or a new way of describing it. Sometimes one person catches on with one description and then somebody else, you got to explain it a different way. So this will be a different way. And so we'll do that next week. And then the following week, we'll start making changes to our t-shirt patterns.
Okay. Michelle has a question. We did cover this, but I think that it's a good one and an easy answer. How could you change this pattern into a dress?
Yeah. Well, the one I'm wearing, you just go as long as you want it, period. You want because these are going to be like shifts. So this will make a cute shift. And you could still keep the split. Just cut it and lengthen it where you want it. And you could still have the split. what we talked about before when we talked about turning a shirt into a dress is remembering that you need walking ease. So once you get to the knee, if you're going straight down, you're going to need a split. And it's probably going to be on the sides enough that you can comfortably walk. And if you go below the knee, you definitely need a slit that's going to come up above the knee. You don't need it all the way to your underwear, but you do need it. And again, a muslin will help you determine that. But even without a muslin, all I do is I base up the side seam to where I think it's going to work. I try it on. Oh, it needs to come down a little bit or up a little bit. No problem. Fix it, then sew it. And you're done. So that's one where you might not need a full muslin for it. Okay. Anything else?
Get those pictures in.
Please. Yes.
If you know, because we have had some questions already about doing these changes to the knit,
Mm-hmm.
which what we're gonna start in the next couple weeks. You know, if you know there's something that you want to know how to do, send us an email, islandersewing@comcast.net,
Yes.
with what you want to see. Janet already has some plans, but we're always willing to shift things around for
Yeah.
something specific that you would like to
Well,
see.
and sometimes you come up with a better idea than I had. So I'm going to take your idea. But we will do several, just like we did here. We'll spend a few weeks doing several changes. So get ready. If you haven't done a knit fit, this would be a good time. And the knit fit kit is right on the website, or also in kits is the 5 easy tees. So by grabbing a kit and some knit, you'll be ready to go. The knit fit kit gives you a very lightweight, less expensive knit. So if you're a little bit new and you're a little worried, that might be the better way to go with your muslin, your fitting for your knit. The 5 easy tees gives you beautiful either ITYs or bamboo or jersey knits. Those you can probably very easily take your fitted garment and turn it into a finished garment and have a really nice t-shirt. So it's all commensurate with your experience level and your confidence level.
All
Okay.
right. So we'll be back next week.
We will. We will be back next week on the 24th at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Well, thank you all for coming and thank you for participating in this series. I hope we've given you some great tips to build your confidence in pattern adjustments, in fitting, and in construction, of course. And again, like Jessica said, if you've got any questions, if we can help you in any way with your sewing, whether it pertains to purchasing something off our website or one of the techniques that we've shown, just sing out with an email to islandersewing@comcast.net and we will be there for you. In the meantime, we'll see you next Tuesday at 2 here at Islander Sewing Systems. I'm Janet Prey here with Jessica Johnson. And again, thank you all so much.